when the agent sent a message telling me that the lead female role I had been fighting for was taken. I had just gotten off the investor's bed. I glanced at my mobile phone, then at the half-naked man, and slowly typed out Luis. Don't you think it's funny that Lisa actually said you replaced me? He turned over and pulled me into his arms again. This time you play the second female lead. Next time I'll let you choose the good script first. I coldly pushed his hand away, and Luis finally opened his eyes. Are you sure you want to make a fuss with me? Give up a role or, in the future, be sidelined? I thought you understood the difference. Chapter 01. Luis's words left me cold and trembling, and I hurriedly picked up the scattered clothes from the floor, putting them on haphazardly. My fingertips trembled uncontrollably, and I fumbled with the buttons several times. Seeing my state, Luis chuckled and pulled me back into his embrace. He slightly propped himself up, resting his chin on top of my head. The blanket loosely draped over him slid down with his movement, revealing his firm abs and defined V-line. His chest rose and fell slightly, radiating a scorching heat that left me breathless. His voice was hoarse and oppressive. Rose, don't mess with me. Be obedient. I placed my palm on his chest, applying slight pressure to push some distance between us. My gaze fell on the mottled marks on his neck and chest. I lowered my head, pretending to button up, trying to make one last attempt. This role, Jasmine, is very important to me. Luis lost his patience, reached out to grab my chin, and forced me to look into his eyes. Rose, I thought you knew your place. What makes you think you have the right to bargain with me? My hand froze on the button, and I was stunned for a while before I found my voice again. No bargaining. Who did you give the lead female role to? Is it another newcomer you met at some dinner party? Luis ruffled my hair, pressed my hand to his waist, indicating for me to buckle his belt. His gaze suddenly went blank, as if he thought of something, and a smile appeared on his face. Elena. He paused, then repeated, the one you've met. Sue Uncle's daughter. She's entered the entertainment industry, so of course she should get the best resources. My hand paused while unbuckling Luis's belt. Elena. I remember this little princess. The first time I met Elena, she threw hot tea on my face, saying it was just a joke. How did Luis introduce her back then? The willful little princess. I pressed my lips together, wisely choosing not to respond. Luis uncharacteristically opened up. She will also be at the live broadcast tonight. Be mindful of what you should and shouldn't say. I'm about to get engaged to her, and I don't want any unpleasant incidents. It felt like a bucket of cold water was poured over my head, drenching me completely. You're getting engaged? My voice trembled violently, even in the warmth of the heated room. I felt as cold as if I were in an ice cave. Luis pushed me aside, walked to the mirror, and tidied his hair in front of it. What else? You didn't think I'd stay with you like this forever, did you? I thought our relationship was mutually understood. I provide the money. Luis paused, turned around, and gave me a fleeting glance. You provide the body. I'm still satisfied with you, so you don't need to worry about losing your resources after I get married. I'll give you what you're owed, as long as you know your place and don't make a scene in front of Elena. I could already imagine how unpleasant the following words would be, so I hastily wrapped myself in a coat. I'm going to find director Jean to get the script for the second female lead. Fled in panic. Chapter 02. Luis Ning is my patron, but I always thought our relationship was more than just patron and canary. He not only provides me with resources but also brings roses to the set to visit. Our relationship is not just about what happens in bed. He would accompany me on walks down the street, call me for half an hour when I'm feeling down, and hold my hand as we ran along the riverbank on the night I won an award. Our relationship was an open secret. I wholeheartedly believed we would make it to the end, but he told me to know my place. I sat in the nanny van for a long time, long enough for Lisa to come with the makeup artist to find me in the car. Rose, have you and Ning been arguing a lot? The moment Lisa came to the door, she immediately pulled the car door shut, blocking the paparazzi waiting outside. I instantly sobered up and wiped my face. I didn't know when my face had become covered in tears. Lisa looked at me and immediately instructed the makeup artist. Change Rose's makeup. There's a live broadcast tonight. And change her hairstyle too. so no one recognizes her coming out of the hotel. He sat next to me again, holding my hand anxiously. Is it because of your decision to leave the circle? Ning doesn't agree? I shook my head. He's getting engaged. Lisa gasped, from the way you say it. It doesn't sound like it's with you. I was amused by Lisa's reaction and wiped my nose, with Elena, the leading actress. Lisa reached out to pat my back, hesitating to speak, then for tonight's live broadcast. Is she coming? I closed my eyes, letting the makeup artist touch up my eye makeup. Gradually calming down, she's coming. And so am I. Louis asked me to play the second female lead. You know, Lisa, I entered this industry for the role of Jasmine. I might quit the role, and if there's a penalty fee, I'll cover it myself. Lisa's hand slowly climbed onto my shoulder, pulling me into her embrace. Her tone full of concern. The penalty fee is a small matter for you. Are you really not going to fight for it anymore? After all, this is... I shook my head, somewhat dejected. Maybe this is our fate. She and I are destined to miss each other like this. If she were still alive, she wouldn't want me to play her, would she? Lisa stopped persuading me, sighed softly, and changed the subject. Are you okay? The live broadcast tonight. I know where Lisa's concern comes from. Lisa has witnessed all the sweet and important moments between me and Louis. She also witnessed all my efforts after I resolutely chose to enter the entertainment industry. When I learned that the book based on the character Jasmine was going to be adapted into a movie, I hugged Lisa back. This is the last tough battle. Whether I can do it or not, I have to. After the live broadcast, I will finish handling the matters at hand, and you can help me cancel the account and issue a statement about leaving the industry. Chapter 03. When sitting in the studio, Elena hadn't arrived yet. Sitting next to Louis, I felt a bit uneasy. Just this afternoon, we were lying in bed together, but now I even find making eye contact awkward. Director Jean, on the other hand, was an old hand, unaffected by the last-minute casting change 10 hours before the start. He cheerfully delivered the opening speech. There weren't many people in the live broadcast room, and the bullet screen comments were sparse. I glanced a few times. There wasn't much discussion about the plot. Most of it revolved around Louis and me. Help. My Rose ship is sailing again. I heard Louis is the investor, and I'm really into it. Rose just starred in the drama Invested by Louis. And you all like it, right? Who doesn't know that I, Louis, always reserve my favorite Rose for myself? I quietly shifted my position, moving a little further away from Louis. I turned to look at Louis, who was sitting in the swivel chair, his long legs casually stretched out, one hand in his pocket, the other rapidly tapping on the mobile phone, his brow furrowed. I wonder if he's explaining to Elena, who hasn't arrived yet. I wonder if when we were photographed entering the hotel one after the other, he explained it to his sister Elena in the same way. Director Jean also smiled and smoothed things over everyone in the live broadcast room. Please wait a little longer. Our heroine has not yet arrived. The heroine's makeup and styling are a bit more complicated. And today we're also using this live broadcast to officially announce the heroine's look. Director Jin's words immediately caused a stir in the live broadcast room, with a large number of people quickly flooding in and the bullet screen scrolling rapidly. Did Louis break up with Rose? Why is Rose still sitting here? Didn't she say she wouldn't act unless she was the lead? Who is the heroine? I think Rose is very suitable. That decryption photo of Jasmine feels like a replica of Rose. The bullet screen scrolled rapidly, the entire screen filled with the name Rose. After watching for a long time, I almost couldn't recognize my own name. The insults were getting nastier. Director Jean struggled to pick a few bullet screen comments related to the plot to reply to, then looked at the screen full of Rose and helplessly turned to look at me and Louis. Louis raised an eyebrow, stared at the screen for a while, and let out a snort of laughter. He turned to look at me. Why do they keep associating me with Rose the big star? He reached out to support the back of my chair, directly turning me to face the big screen. Do we have a relationship? Over the years, the rumors about Louis and me have been widespread, and he has tacitly acknowledged the existence of our ship fans. Yet today he left me with no dignity at all. My hand, clutching the hem of my skirt, slowly tightened and then released, leaving an unsightly mark. It's okay. Everyone just likes to watch the drama. Chapter 04. In this awkward moment, Elena finally arrived late. As Louis stood up to greet Elena, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Elena was dressed in an old-fashioned coat, with 80s-style curls, looking like a strong woman, yet her expression was full of innocence. The look is exactly the same as in the photo of Jasmine. Looking at Elena's makeup, I felt a bit bitter. I have imagined countless times wearing this outfit, standing in front of the big screen, playing the story of this woman. Louis held Elena's hand, slowly walked to the center of the studio, carefully helped Elena to sit down, and affectionately leaned on the back of her chair. Elena sat in Louis's seat, slightly turned to look at me. Sister Rose, I didn't expect to see you here. I stood up to give Louis a seat, planning to sit a bit further away from them. Hearing Elena mention me, I waved my hand. Director Jean invited me to make an appearance. The heroine doesn't need to mind me, but Elena didn't intend to let me go. Why would Director Jean invite Sister Rose for no reason? Does Sister Rose have a role too? Before I could speak, she slightly turned her body and looked up at Louis, softly acting coy. Louis, you wouldn't suddenly be tempted and give my heroine role to Sister Rose, would you? Isn't it said that Sister Rose won't act unless it's the heroine? With just those two simple sentences, the previously quiet bullet screen suddenly became lively again. The director silently set the name Rose as a blocked word, and the entire screen of Rose turned into invisible code. In the early years of youthful recklessness, every word spoken became a boomerang that turned back on oneself. Actually, I didn't say this sentence. At that time, there was a director who handed me a script, where I played a supporting female character with extensive nudity scenes. Louis asked Lisa to reject the script, stating, "From now on, Rose will only play leading roles, so stop handing her just any script." And now, Elena's malice is glaringly obvious. Yet Louis looks at her indulgently. He sat down beside her with a face full of helplessness. How could I dare? With you here, how could I see anyone else? Besides, Elena, with you here, where else could there be a second heroine? Rose is an artist from my company, here to compliment you. The interaction between the two ignited the live broadcast room, and outside the live broadcast, the hot search for #Louis Elena hashtag quietly displayed the word explosive. Ning is always with Elena? Then what is Rose? A mistress? Isn't Rose always subtly showing off her relationship with Ning? Now, she's jumped right in front of the main character. Rose, what exactly is she here for today? Surely she isn't here to steal the role. That's too ridiculous. I stood awkwardly in place, without even the thought of finding a new spot, just wanting to escape this farce as quickly as possible. I took a deep breath and smiled at Elena. Elena is, of course, the only heroine. I'm just here to visit the set. I'm not in this play. Louis stood up from the chair all of a sudden, with such force that the swivel chair spun around. I didn't want to make such a scene, but since it had come to this, I spoke up before he could get angry. I wish everyone a successful start. I have something to attend to, so I'll leave first. Chapter 05. The director was shocked by my words and immediately cut off the live broadcast. Louis stepped forward, then stood still, his tone icy. Rose, are you planning to quit just before the start? Are you wasting the entire crew's efforts and using your future to threaten me just because of your personal feelings? My steps halted as I was leaving the stage. I took a deep breath and didn't look back. Mr. Ning, if that's what you think, then I can't change your mind. Louis stepped forward 2 steps, blocking my way. I don't want to look up at him, so I can only stare at the tips of my shoes. His face was shrouded in shadow, indistinct, but his expression must have been somber. Louis remained silent. Elena, however, stood up with a smile and followed, linking her arm with Louis's. Rose, what's really going on? It's not true what they say, that you're here to steal the heroine's role, is it? She looked me up and down, pulling a malicious smile on her face. You don't think Louis is the kind of nouveau riche you can just easily seduce, do you? Is that how people in your circle operate, trading bodies for roles? I suppressed the anger in my heart, originally not wanting to cause a conflict, but I really couldn't accept Elena saying such things in that outfit. Elena, you know very well who is taking from whom in this heroine role. Since you took Jasmine's role, I hope you respect your character and don't say such upsetting things while in her guise. Elena was quite upset by me and reached out to push me. Luis raised his hand to stop her. Rose, have you also learned this trick? He reached out to pinch my chin, forcing me to look up at him, then mocked. All this talk is just for the role of Jasmine. When you first entered the entertainment industry, you took on any minor roles, and now you're acting all high and mighty. Last time, you were so determined to say you would never rely on me, Luis, again. And what was the result? You ended up crying downstairs at my place, begging me to give you the role of Jasmine. Rose, your tricks don't work on me. I suddenly felt very powerless. I don't know if it's because Elena took the role I worked so hard for, or because of Luis's arrogant and disdainful attitude. All the effort seemed to turn to ashes in that instant. He released my chin, took out a handkerchief to wipe his hands, then tossed it on the ground with a slight click of his tongue. I hope this time your threats and your resolve can last a little longer, and you won't come back crying to beg me. It's the same trick again. Every time my emotions build up to a breaking point, Luis always dangles the role of Jasmine in front of me. I blinked to clear the mist from my eyes, then turned aside and quickly passed by Luis. I will no longer cry and beg you. I have already given up. Given up on the obsession with playing Jasmine, and given up on you. Chapter 06. By the time I finalized the last itinerary with Lisa, it was already late at night. When I dragged my tired body back to my residence, I was blocked outside the door by 2 consecutive fingerprint recognition errors. When I opened my mobile phone to ask the butler, the door opened from the inside. It was Luis. He was wearing a bathrobe, his wet hair still dripping with water. And when he saw me, a light smile appeared on his face. The tone, however, was harsh. Rose, aren't you quite proud? I thought you moved out after leaving the set. So why are you back in my house? Luis emphasized the words my house. Yet I felt an overwhelming fatigue consuming me. This house indeed belongs to Luis. Back then, to enter the entertainment industry, I had a fallout with my family, worked as an extra in the film city, and lived in a shared rental. Later, when I had money in hand, the first thing I did was change houses. When I rented this house, I didn't know it belonged to Luis. It was later, after we had been together for a long time, that Luis's secretary returned the rent to me, and I found out about it. Luis doesn't usually come around here often. I didn't expect him to make a special trip just to humiliate me. I tightened my grip on the doorknob, took a deep breath, and pulled myself together. I was busy this afternoon, but I'm here to clean up now. After thinking for a moment, I added, Ning doesn't have to worry about me overstaying my welcome. Maintaining my last shred of dignity, Luis turned slightly to the side, making way, and raised an eyebrow at me, wearing high heels. I was so tired that my hands were trembling. Look, Luis, this doesn't seem like it's going to end peacefully. So I had to grit my teeth and go inside to pack my luggage. Fortunately, over the years, I've been on set a lot, so there's not much luggage at home. It took just 10 minutes to pack up everything that belonged to me over the past 2 years. As I was about to leave with my suitcase, the bathroom door suddenly opened. Elena, wrapped in only a towel, came out barefoot, drying her wet hair. At that moment, I felt like my heart almost stopped. I had long anticipated this moment, but seeing it with my own eyes still made my heart ache to the point of being unable to breathe. My mind was in such a mess that I lost the ability to think. The hand holding the suitcase handle lost its strength, and the wheels crashed to the ground with a loud noise. I finally came to my senses and reached out to grab the suitcase that had slid forward a few steps. I don't know what I should say in this situation. Rose. Elena stepped over the suitcase, walked to the bar, poured herself a glass of red wine, and spoke first. Why is it that every time I see you, it's always in? This is not a place you should be. She tilted her wine glass, cocked her head, and looked at me innocently. I didn't know how to respond to that statement. I didn't even know what constituted a place I shouldn't be. Was it the press conference originally scheduled to announce me as the heroine of the new drama? Or was it in this house where I've lived for 2 years? I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. At that moment, something quietly collapsed within me. Elena approached step by step. Luis leaned leisurely against the doorway, his gaze unfocused. I bit my lip and forced a smile at Elena. Sorry, Miss Sue, for interrupting your pleasant time with Ning CEO. I'll just pack my things and leave. What do you mean by that? Elena wouldn't let it go. You call Louis the CEO, but you call me Miss Sue. Are you being sarcastic with me? During the day at the press conference, I had upset this young lady, and it was very much in her character to seek revenge. I didn't want to get entangled with Elena any further, so I smiled and apologized. When dealing with people with this kind of temperament, I've become quite adept at this routine. Sorry, Elena ma'am. I'm leaving now. Elena was never one to let things go easily. She reached out and grabbed me, refusing to let go. Did I say you could leave? I put down the suitcase in my hand and turned to look at her. So what do you want to do? What do I want to do? Elena chuckled, swirling the red wine in her glass. Then, without warning, the entire glass of red wine poured down over my head. My face was covered with sticky red wine, and even my shirt was soaked, clinging tightly to my body. Oops, sorry. Slipped again. Elena turned the red wine glass upside down over my head, her tone light, but Rose probably won't mind. After all, she's probably used to it. I had no intention of getting entangled with Elena. I didn't even want to take the suitcase and turned to walk out of the house where I had lived for 2 years. Louis suddenly reached out and grabbed me. Are you sure you want to leave like this? I wiped the red wine dripping down my chin, glanced back at Louis, and then raised my chin at Elena, who was wrapped in a towel. Sorry. Even if Ning always wants me to observe and learn from your bedroom scenes, I don't have that kink. Louis remained silent, using the sleeve of his robe to gently blot the red wine from my face and hair. Rose, it would be more convincing if you weren't so disheveled when you said that. He released my hand and pushed me out of the room. Calm down and think about what attitude you should have when facing me. The door closed in front of me. Chapter 07. I stood downstairs for a long time, feeling confused and powerless. Back then, I left home headstrong for the role of Jasmine, only to end up with nothing. I wandered aimlessly on the street until midnight, only to be startled awake by the piercing ringtone of my mobile phone. I was so shocked that my hands and feet turned cold, and I frantically fumbled through my bag to retrieve my mobile phone. But it wasn't Louis. It was Lisa. I took a deep breath before answering the call, trying to make my voice sound less disheveled. What's wrong, Lisa? I glanced at the glowing screen. It's already 1 o'clock. Where are you now? You've been caught following Louis into his residence, and it's already blown up on the hot search. Lisa bit hard on the word stalking. My heart skipped a beat, and I tightened my grip on the mobile phone. That's the house I rented. Lisa's voice carried deep exhaustion. I know, but no one will believe it. Elena stepped in directly over there. Although you're ready to leave the circle, you should still reassure the fans so you don't end up with a bad reputation. After Lisa hung up the phone, I opened the mobile phone. Hashtag Rose Louis hashtag was prominently at the top of the hot search. Following closely was hashtag Elena, I chased her away hashtag. I bit the tip of my tongue, forcing myself to calm down before clicking into the entry. At Big Orange Cat, late night scandal. Top actress follows investor late at night for resources. Attached was a video showing Louis entering the community, followed by another video from the same perspective of me walking in. The time in between was all cut out. The most basic editing technique, making it look like we went in one after the other. The comments below the video were full of abuse. Today in director Jin's live broadcast room, I felt something was off with Rose. Why would she come without a role? Turns out she was indeed trying to steal the opportunity. Rose, with your capability, couldn't you find a better place to use it than being a mistress? With a face that screams mistress, you've been in the industry for over 2 years without any notable works. Yet you keep playing the lead role. Knocking on the investor's door in the middle of the night isn't the first time, is it? Each sentence was more unpleasant than the last. I felt a bitterness in my chest and absent-mindedly clicked on the second hot search. What caught my eye was Elena's blog post. At Shining Elena, some actresses should not try their tricks on my boyfriend. Okay? You're at least an actress. So stop doing things like knocking on the investor's door in the middle of the night. I really can't stand it. The top hot comment is also hers. At Shining Elena, but I drove her away covering mouth and laughing. Following closely is a comment from the marketing account at Big Orange Cat, posting a blurry photo of me with red wine splashed all over my face. Under the blog post, there are praises for the love between Elena and Luis and insults directed at me. My hideous mistress face only highlights their love as solid as gold. But clearly, he was my boyfriend for 2 years. And clearly, that was also the home I lived in for 2 years. I blankly turned off the mobile phone, not listening to Lisa's attempts to appease the fans. The paparazzi's video was clear, and under Elena's blog post, there was an even clearer picture of my embarrassed face. At this point, any explanation from me would be futile, unless Luis is willing to clarify for me. Wishful thinking. If he were willing, things wouldn't have escalated to this point. Chapter 08. I stood on the street, clutching my mobile phone, feeling lost, not knowing where to go or what to do. Do I really have to leave the industry with the shameful label of a mistress? It seems like Elena was reprimanded and couldn't fit in the circle anymore. How embarrassing. A red Lamborghini quietly stopped beside me, and the horn in the middle of the night startled me. Julian rolled down the window, raised his chin at me through his sunglasses, and said, "I didn't see you like this even on the day our mom died. Get in the car." Our mom Julian mentioned is Jasmine. She is my mother. The story of Jasmine and my dad is quite cliché. A genius girl in scientific research married her childhood sweetheart who went into business. Love that is stronger than gold cannot compare to the necessities of life. Gradually, my dad found Jasmine not gentle and considerate enough, while Jasmine resented my dad for restricting her pursuit of truth. On the day they separated, Jasmine stepped in red high heels, carrying a suitcase, and fiercely asked me and Julian, "Who are you going with?" At only 5 years old, I was frightened by Jasmine and cried to find my dad, only to see him lying with Aunt Ching from next door. When I went downstairs again, Jasmine had already left with Julian. I ran out the door crying to chase after it, only to see the taillights of the little red car disappear around the corner. That day, I lost my mother and brother, and also my father. David's business is getting bigger and bigger, and there are more and more women around him. I, his daughter, am becoming more and more invisible. I scratched my hair, which was stuck together by red wine, and gave Julian a smile that was uglier than crying. Julian frowned disdainfully. Is it really that big of a deal? Getting yourself into such a state over a relationship. Aren't you ashamed? Get in the car. Let's go home. I haven't heard the word home for a long time. I once thought that Luis's house was our home, but everything that happened today shattered my delusion. Under Julian's urging, I got into the passenger seat of the red sports car and retorted with a heavy nasal tone. It's not because of dating. It's because of Mom. Julian started the car and sped away. You're really stupid. At least 5 paparazzi cars were following you, and you were wandering around the street like an idiot. Were you scolded for not having a mouth? What kind of tragic drama are you acting in? Can't you clarify? In the midst of Julian's murmuring, my tense nerves completely relaxed, and I slowly lost consciousness. Chapter 09. When I woke up again, I was at Julian's house. Lisa called me at least 20 times. Julian complained while spreading butter on the bread. What's wrong with your manager? What could be so important that it can't wait until tomorrow? Julian isn't in the industry, so he doesn't know about the crucial 24 hours for clarification. I could only forgive him and turn to call Lisa back. Rose, what's going on? Who was the person who picked you up yesterday? You're really stuck on the hot search and can't get off. Lisa's frantic voice came through the phone, and I could imagine she had been in a meltdown all night. I took advantage of the chaos to swipe open my mobile phone, and sure enough, I saw the video of me getting into the red sports car. The comments were even more unpleasant. Rose is hooking up with another rich second generation, right? Seriously impressive. If one doesn't work out, she immediately switches to another. I ascend this the master of time management in the entertainment industry? Just came out of one house and immediately got into another's car. I'm tired of it. Can we ban Rose already? Her values are too outrageous, and I don't want to see any of her messages anymore. While reading WeChat messages kept popping up. It was Luis. The first message was at 3 in the morning, when the video of Julian picking me up was trending on the hot search. Rose. Who did you leave with? 4 in the morning. I checked. That was Julian's car. When did you meet him? 7 o'clock. Do you think that by getting close to Julian, you can get the role of Jasmine? He doesn't even participate in director Jin's decisions. And do you think you and Julian have a chance? His father is David, and you can't even get through that family's door. 9 o'clock. If you come back now, I can pretend nothing happened. If you don't come back, never come back again. Julian, biting a piece of bread, snatched my mobile phone, opened Tweet and scrolled through it, rolling his eyes, directly took out his own mobile phone and tagged all the marketing accounts that posted videos. At Julian, at V, at Chasing Paparazzi King, at Star Chaser Inspector, at Lens Sniper, at Sun Group. Julian's tweet is not often used. Even the avatar is the default white silhouette, let alone verified. But this tweet attracted everyone's attention and was quickly pushed to the top of the hot search by mocking comments. Rose, are you too afraid to post on your own mobile phone? Did you buy an unregistered account just to make noise here? That's the funniest joke I've heard today. Ha 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 ha. And at Sun Group, ha ha ha. Are you going to say next that David is your dad, so you don't need to cling to Ning at all? Is this the best idea you came up with after thinking all night? Julian wasn't bothered and never justified himself, stuffing the remaining bread into my mouth. He signaled me to relax. Don't worry. Our company's legal team is very strong. I was amused by Julian and didn't bother to explain to him that winning a lawsuit doesn't mean overturning the situation. His joking mood slightly improved mine, but I didn't expect the public opinion to reverse. At Sun Group V, yes sir, at Julian. The official account of Sun Group reposted Julian's blog post. All the questioning voices disappeared instantly, and Julian, this small account with no credentials, seemed to be gilded. But Julian didn't care at all, shoved the mobile phone back into my hand, and urged me to wash up, hurry up and get ready. We're going back to see the old man tonight. I took advantage of the chaos to send Lisa a don't worry, stuffed the mobile phone into my pocket, and resignedly was pushed to wash up. Chapter 10. I didn't expect to run into Luis again at home. When Julian was holding me as we got out of the red Lamborghini, Luis stood nearby with a grim expression. Julian winked at Luis and said, I thought Ning was dead. Made it to the hot search all night without a peep. Turns out, still breathing. Huh? Luis. Ning pressed his temples, a hint of fatigue on his face, and reached out to me. Rose, come home with me. I can pretend nothing happened. That sounds so familiar. I just don't understand why. Even though I'm the one who's hurt, he's the one saying it. I stepped past Julian, who was blocking my way, and took a step forward. Mr. Ning, I thought we both understood yesterday that we were over. Luis frowned, yet spoke with a hint of earnest persuasion. Rose, Julian is only interested in you for the novelty. You don't really know what kind of person he is. Julian, who was standing by watching the drama unfold, laughed and chimed in, if you don't know, I can introduce myself. First, I wouldn't kick my girlfriend out in the middle of the night. And second, I wouldn't bring a mistress home. Luis looked confused, as if he didn't understand why this time I suddenly didn't beg him. Rose, come back with me. I promise in the future. There is no future. Mr. Ning, I interrupted him. I pulled Julian, who was watching the commotion, and walked past Luis. Luis persisted. Do you think Julian can back you up? Sun Group has no resources in the entertainment industry. Come back with me, and I'll give you Jasmine's role. Hearing his mother's name, Julian stopped in his tracks, turned around, and punched Luis. Are you really that damn despicable? Using my mom's role to string along a young girl? Luis licked his lips and extended his hand to me. You win. Rose, I'll give you everything you want. I ignored him, grabbed Julian's hand, and turned to leave. I don't want to be entangled with such a person anymore. Even looking at him one more time makes me feel like I was blind for the past 2 years. As soon as we entered the house, David made Julian and me kneel in the living room, causing such a scandal. What does it look like? None of you feel ashamed, and you're dragging the Sun Group into your nonsense. Julian secretly shook the hand that had just punched Luis, grimacing as he rubbed his knuckles, completely ignoring David's words. Lisa's call came again. Chapter 11. I glanced at Julian with my mobile phone in hand, then at David, who was still angry. Feeling a bit hesitant, Julian wasn't bothered and directly answered for me. Help. Rose. What did you do to Elena? Why won't she stop? Lisa ranted a few words frantically before quickly hanging up, looking like she was already overwhelmed. I opened the tweet and clicked into Elena's profile. At Shining Elena V, since you've climbed up the social ladder, don't keep eyeing what's in others' bowls. I hope you can keep your little secrets from your sponsor. But the circle is so small, it's hard to hide. Haha. This tweet further confirmed the early morning hot search. I was eating from my bowl while looking at the pot. On one hand, she was with Julian, and on the other, she was flirting with Luis. The marketing accounts that were warned by Julian in the morning went crazy, retweeting Elena's tweet, all with the caption, /covering mouth and laughing. The comment section also boiled over. Rose really has a way. She can even coax the heir of the Sun Group to stand up for her in such a situation. I wonder if Julian knows that your girlfriend tried to climb into bed and was rejected, then contacted you right after. Won't it be awkward when you run into Ning in the future? Julian burst out laughing. This woman never stops. Does she? She's like a toad. Once she sticks, you can't shake her off. I stopped Julian from continuing to stand up for me, feeling an incredible calmness in my mind at that moment. Yes, Julian was right. I spoke up. And if I'm misunderstood, I should clarify. I forwarded all the chat records and photos and videos between me and Luis, including the rental contract I signed with Luis's secretary, to Lisa, and asked Lisa to help me write a clarification statement. If I still want to stay in this circle, such a clarification is like killing 1,000 enemies while losing 800 of my own. Elena is certain that I rely on Luis for resources and wouldn't dare to publicly reveal everything. But I'm not afraid. I'm not in this circle anymore anyway. It's just still upsetting. If it weren't me today, but a girl from an ordinary family facing all this, she would have to suffer in silence, without even the right to clear her name. She would be drenched in accusations, forced out of the circle by Elena with a tarnished reputation. The clarifying information spread quickly. #Rose's 2 years hashtag became the latest hot search term. After seeing the evidence and sorting out their thoughts, the netizens turned their criticism towards Elena's tweet. Help. Rose was with Luis for 2 years. So what are you? Did you drive her away? Who did you drive away? I really thought you were some optimistic and kind-hearted young lady. A mistress entering the house and driving away the original partner while inciting online abuse? The privileged really have their ways. Some people continue to curse me. Rose isn't much better, leaving home only to get into another man's car. I can only say that this circle is truly chaotic. Neither of them is any better. I can only say that Rose and Elena are wicked people who meet their match. None of the four are good people. Luis, who had remained silent, continued to stay silent, but tried to send me a message. Rose, have you felt a bit happier? Julian won't protect you forever. Come back to me now, and Elena won't dare to touch you. Jasmine's role is yours, and all future heroines can be yours. I blocked Luis with a blank expression. I logged into my tweet and posted a photo of Julian and me from 20 years ago. This photo has already yellowed, but it's the only childhood photo of Julian and me. I took a picture with my mobile phone and spent a lot of money to have it restored clearly. I originally thought it was just a memory, but today it became evidence for clarification. At Rose V, let me introduce Julian, my brother. The accompanying picture is this group photo. The official Weibo of the Sun Group quickly reposted it. At Sun Group V, let me introduce Rose, our young lady. Elena's tweet was instantly flooded, and even Luis was dragged into the hot search with criticism. If I were just an ordinary girl, then my relationship with Luis would be seen as unequal in the eyes of the world. Even if Luis were too timing, he wouldn't be criticized. The idea that a prince falling in love with Cinderella is just a fairy tale, and that a wealthy man can't possibly keep only one canary, is accepted by the public. However, when our statuses became equal, Luis's actions were seen as a betrayal condemned by society, an affair pointed out by everyone. Just the change in my status made everything different. Chapter 12. Because the Sun Group intervened, public opinion completely reversed. I quickly posted the second retirement tweet. At Rose V, entering the circle for 2 years was a dream-chasing process. But unfortunately, the dream shattered. And it's time for me to wake up. Thank you to every friend who encouraged and supported me over these 2 years. The mountains are high and the road is long. We shall meet no more. After the message was sent, my tweet instantly crashed. Many people are lamenting in the tweet. No, Rose. I told you that you and Jasmine look exactly alike. Turns out she's your mother. Don't quit the industry. Director Jean is so short-sighted. You're much more suitable than Elena. We're crowdfunding to have you play Jasmine. The comment section is full of apologies. And some even speculate that I chose to leave the industry because I was heartbroken. Even the few marketing accounts that were clamoring loudly in the morning quietly deleted the video and apologized in the comment section. I quit Twitter account. No longer reading comments. From now on, the role of actress Rose comes to an end. People always have to accept their failures. However, Louis persistently called me, and when blocked, he continued to call from different numbers. I could only answer, but the other end of the line fell into silence again. Louis, I know it's you. What exactly do you want to say? After a long silence, I finally heard Louis's dry voice. Why didn't you tell me Jasmine is your mother? If you had told me, I wouldn't have given the role to Elena. It was still questioning. I told you before, I replied seriously. I told you, this role is very important to me. There was silence on the other end of the phone. If you have nothing to say, I'll hang up. You should have told me directly. Louis still thought I should have been clearer. A wave of nausea rose in my chest. I never knew that the person I liked for the past 2 years was actually like this. How should I tell you? Cry and kneel down to beg you? To satisfy your constant strong sense of pride. Beg you to grant me this role? Pretty boring, Louis. Without waiting for his reply, I hung up the phone directly. Chapter 1-3. Elena was criticized to the point of closing her tweet comments, and the entire production team was boycotted. No one could accept that the person who bullied Jasmine's daughter was going to play the role of Jasmine. Riding this wave, Julian withdrew the rights from the production team, no longer allowing them to remake Jasmine's story. Elena's first film ended without a trace, and the door to the entertainment industry, which she had halfway entered, was completely closed to her. Even her father's company had its stock price halved due to the turmoil. Elena's father had his appointment as chairman cancelled by an emergency shareholders meeting held overnight. The next time I saw Louis was in the hospital. At that time, I began to take over part of the business of the Sun Group and even invested in several entertainment companies, taking away a lot of Louis's business. And Louis ended up in the hospital due to excessive drinking. Lisa called me several times, urging me to visit him. There was no choice since the agency where Lisa worked had shares owned by Louis. Unwilling to let Lisa be put in a difficult position because of me, I could only pretend to visit Louis. He lay on the hospital bed looking haggard, his lips deathly pale. When he saw me, his eyes brightened, and he suddenly sat up in bed, but then seemed a bit at a loss. Rose, I didn't expect you would still come to see me. He was a bit awkward, reaching out to grab me, but immediately pulled back. Have you forgiven me? There's nothing between me and Elena. That day I took her back just to spite you for not giving me face at the press conference. After you left, I followed you downstairs. The paparazzi have a video. I bought it. I'll send it to you. He hurried to find his mobile phone, wanting to prove something. I stopped him. Louis, it doesn't matter anymore. Our separation has nothing to do with Elena. You never saw me as your equal. To you, I was just a canary that couldn't leave you. Louis's eyes suddenly turned red. You've seen the person. I have things to do. I'll leave now. I placed the fruit basket by his bedside and turned to leave. Rose, Louis called out to me, choking up as he asked, if I say I regret it, can we start over? I didn't look back. Louis, as you wished. This time I had the dignity not to beg you. And I hope you can also manage to stay out of each other's way. Perhaps during that time of chasing dreams, I mistakenly fell into the fantasy environment Louis had woven for me. I placed myself in the position of a canary that never sees the light of day. Back then, I was holding on, believing I could get what I wanted without relying on my family. Yet, I didn't expect to fall into another trap. enclosing myself in a different cage. Fortunately, I woke up in time. Life is long, and even if you make a few mistakes, so what? As long as you don't look back. It's fine. I won't look back anymore.